Hi, I'm Ollie Bradley. Just wanted to introduce myself. I am the Global E-commerce Experience Design Director at Unilever. And I wanted to talk to you today in this short video about why images need to be mobile ready. And, what does mobile ready actually even mean? So obviously you've seen some of my work with Ben & Jerry's mobile ready hero images, as you can see here. And I guess the journey started where I've been watching a guy called Luke W., who works at Google. He does some really good talks about user experience. And one of the things he's basically saying is stop designing for desktop because it's a declining market. And this was an infographic he created. And I was like, well, we need to get some data to back up what this infographic's saying. So I did. And if you look at this chart from Global Web Index that outlines device ownership over time, you can clearly see here that actually people aren't kind of replacing or buying more iPads or tablets, and actually laptop, desktop ownership is declining and smartphone ownership is going up. And to win in e-commerce now, we really need to help everyone. We're seeing a huge cohort of older shoppers join us and starting to shop online for the first time. So shoppers older than 55 years old, and they have different requirements from younger shoppers with near perfect eyesight. They need simplified images with much cleaner, high contrast texts that they can actually work out what they're looking at. And obviously, as Unilever, we are proud that we have pioneered visual content that meets accessibility standards through our work with Cambridge University, and we've created an industry standard for mobile ready hero images. I've got a little analogy of kind of how to design for mobile that starts really with something that we'll all relate to in terms of film covers. And there used to be a day 20 years ago where we would go out and get a DVD from Blockbuster, and those days are long gone. And actually, if you look at how Pixar have evolved and decluttered and created mobile first and digital first designs for the new world of streaming video for people who are consuming video on mobile, tablet, and are certainly using their mobile to select the next movie that they're going to watch or the next box series that they're going to watch. And I think we need to think in the same way as e-commerce and think about images that are simplified and help our shoppers to find what they're looking for. And when you do eye tracking, it's quite revealing that shoppers largely ignore most of what they look at, and they tend to fixate. And the area of where the light is showing is where shoppers are fixating. They scroll very fast, and they tend to fixate on the images rather than reading text. And that's really because our brains are able to process images so much faster than reading text. And that's called cognitive load. The cognitive load of reading is much higher than the cognitive load of looking at images and trying to work out from the image what you're looking at. And the slow adoption of m-commerce has been attributed to two things by ComScore. Firstly, cannot see the product detail, and secondly, navigating is difficult. And therefore, I would put to you the need for us to create mobile-ready images, both primary images as well as supplementary or secondary images, is now. And one of the things that we've done as Unilever is we've partnered with Cambridge University, and they have created a test which is publicly available on their website called the Clarify test. And that is a way of telling whether your e-commerce images are mobile ready. It's available for retailers to use, in particular, that will then end all discussions and debate and opinion because it applies a Gaussian blur to show whether an image is in fact simple enough to work on mobile. And we realize most people in corporates are using laptops and email to judge images instead of approving it on their mobile. So therefore, we had to create a test with Cambridge University that could be used to show what the shopper actually experiences. So a visual clarity test is useful in deciding at what point an element of the digital pack is too small to be read and or the digital pack is too cluttered and therefore which or when elements should be resized, repositioned, or removed entirely. So basically all the small detail that can't be read needs to be removed because you can't read it anyway, and you can still represent that information on the product detail page in the supplementary images and the long description anyway. And one of the things that Cambridge University have done is they have calibrated their visual clarity test, which adds Gaussian blur to an eye test. And we have adopted the standard of being able to look at the image from 40 centimeters away, which is the kind of normal reading distance in terms of how far away you would typically hold your phone from your eyes when looking at it. And wanted to quickly show you an example. So obviously for passing the visual clarity test on a primary image, a mobile ready here image, you should be able to tell from the image alone the four basics of what brand is it, what format or type of product is it, what variant is it, it's the almond variant, and what size is it. There are three in this pack. And as you can see on the mobile ready here image, in this case on Magnum, it passes the test beautifully. So I wanted to wrap up with this last slide, just talking about the changes that have happened to all of us since coronavirus and lockdown has hit many of us. We are obsessing and spending a lot of time on our smartphones. And this fundamental change in shopper behavior is something that needs us to evolve our standards. So GS1 has created an ideas working group, which stands for Image, Digital and Electronic Assets. And this working group is addressing how we need to evolve our standards. For instance, video for mobile shouldn't be 16:9 letterbox aspect ratio. It should be square, like Instagram has square videos. That's how shoppers should be experiencing our videos for e-commerce. So we need to evolve our standards and keep up. Join our working group and come and hear how we're evolving standards to keep pace with the shopper changes. Thank you.